I'm Katrina, and this is Sow and Tare. And today we are making bone broth. So I'm doing other stuff. I just got stuff out, so I still have dirty hands and stuff. Working on pumping water because we have puddle town. And so I am just getting ready to do the stock. So bone broth is something that is super good for you. It's something that is really nutritious and just everything that's your bones need, it has. You can flavor it, you can salt it, you can do whatever you want. I do it plain. And there's a couple of reasons why I do it plain. One, laziness. Two, it's easy. It's super easy to do. And if you don't go through all the extra stuff, you don't have to do it. If you want to make a soup stock or something like that, you can do that directly from here. But what I do is I make a stock and then I can it or freeze dry it, and you can also freeze it, and then that stock can be used for anything. And by stock, I don't mean stock, I mean broth. So it's a bone broth. Bone broth is made from the bones, and stock, like a broth would be from like meat and skin and bones and all that kind of stuff. And a stock is basically the base of for a soup. So usually there's like carrot and celery and onion and garlic and all that in the stock, and then it gets strained out. So you can do that with this. I'm using pressure cookers for this exercise. You can also do it on the stove. If you're doing it on the stove though, it takes forever. So I do 3 hours in the pressure cooker, and then I actually run it through again, and I get a lighter broth. If you do it on the stove, it takes 24 to 48 hours to break down those bones. So, so in the pressure cooker, you can actually break down the bones so that they're squishy if you do it 3 hours twice. And if you do that, you can then use the bones for bone meal in your garden, grind it up, or you can give it to your animals for calcium. There's lots of more uses, I think, with that. If you're doing it on the stovetop, it's going to take a very long time to get to that point if you're doing it boiling it. And to me, pressure cooking, it says to me that you're actually getting everything out of the bone that you need to get out. So do what you can, do what you will. Depends on the amount you have and all of that. So you could also do this in like a big roaster, a slow cooker, just as long as it's something that is long term. If you do it on the stove, again, you have to keep an eye on it because it will run out of water. So at this point, while I have these in the sink just thawing out, I am also going to use my water, and you want potable water for this, and get enough water to cover the bones. Okay, so I have a variety of things here. I'm making just bone broth, so there's some, it's mostly going to be rabbit and quail in here, but I do have one small turkey carcass in here. I use bread bags or Ziploc bags, any kind of random bag, like that's a rabbit bone. I'm going to do turkey separate from the rest of them, but the rest of them will all go in the same pot. And this is what I'm using. I'm actually cooking some rabbits right now, but I'll be using a New Wave. They don't make this anymore. It's just a big pressure cooker. By just a big pressure cooker, I mean like it's 13 quarts and it's awesome, and I don't know why they don't make it anymore. And this is Instapot. They are both pressure cookers. And then this one will be for the turkey carcass, and then this will be for the rest. Now, in my house, I have a little bit high aluminum, and so the kitchen sink has a reverse osmosis under it, so that doesn't have that aluminum. Whenever I cook food, I use that. If I'm just washing my hands, washing dishes, rinsing off food even, it's fine to use the tap. But that was the solution. It was the cheaper solution. It was a $500 solution versus the whole house thing, which was like $25,000. So that's what I'm going with now. And So if you have to filter your water, or if you have to rely on a filter, again, this has like I think it's a 3-gallon tank, then you're going to want to make sure you have that already, because it can take time to filter water. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow when we roast these. So you're going to want your roasting pans or cookie sheets, and you're also going to want something acidic. I use apple cider vinegar. People use lemons. People use tomatoes. I'm not sure tomatoes have enough acid, but we're going to add that to the broth, to the water part, and that is to help draw out those minerals, because we want minerals out of the bones so we can get them in our bones. All right, so now that everything's thawed, it doesn't really have to thaw. I just do things like this because my time, is available in different amounts, different places. So once you have it thawed, you're gonna wanna put it on a baking sheet and put your oven to 350 degrees. You can oil this or not. It doesn't really matter. Things might stick, so you might want to oil it. And I have avocado oil. It doesn't really matter. All this is doing is protecting your pan. Like, that's the point I'm trying to make. It's protecting your pan from getting stuck on. So, yeah, you could use a paper towel, or you can use your hand. It works both ways. And I'm going to do another pan for my other stuff. I don't know if it'll fit in the oven at the same time, though. So I will also prepare that, since I already have oil on my hands. It might need a little more, though. I buy the avocado oil in a bigger container and then just pour it into here to use. I know people have those like olive oil things. I've never had one, so I don't know if that's beneficial or not. It works. I don't understand why they make all of them leak, all these containers, but they do. I've never had an oil container. When you put it down, it doesn't drip over the edge. So I don't know about that. All right, so I'm just oiling this quickly with my hand. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you don't even have to do this step. So I just figure I'd like to do it. So there you have your oil pan. I'm gonna wash my hand. Okay, so now it is time to put the bones on. If you can break them apart, like the carcasses, turkey carcasses all together, if you can break it apart at this point, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. We want to bake it at 350 to 400, somewhere in around there. And sorry, my hair is all interesting because I am also pumping puddles in the back of the house. So it's raining. Anyway, so let me take you down here, show you what I do, and then we'll put it in the oven for 45 minutes. If you're doing quail bones and only quail bones, maybe half an hour is fine because they're smaller, but anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes. And what this does is it heats the bones up. It gets them a little cracked so that you can get inside as well, but it gives it that roasted flavor as well. So it really improves the flavor when you roast the bones, and then it preps the bones for what it's going to go through next. Here is our young turkey. And you can see the skin's in here. That's fine. Skin can stay. But if we can, we're at 350. If we can break this apart a little, that will be helpful. Now you can see it has a little bit of meat on it, and then that's fine. It'll add flavor and nutrition to our broth. You can also use scissors too if you want. But you can see like that's a whole, wing part. I think I am going to use scissors. That turkey must not have a lot of collagen in it. I want to show you guys what usually happens with it. Is we're having good scissors for your kitchen is a good thing. After coming out of the refrigerator and after see if it'll cut through. Fat skimmed off. And this is the jiggliness that you're looking for. So
if you want to make a stock first and pick off all of this meat, then that's fine. There's actually quite a bit of meat on there still, but that's fine. If not, that is also fine. I'm just going to go with all of this into the oven. Does it matter skin in, skin out? I don't know. All right, we have some tendons there. That is all good. That is our turkey. That will go in there, and then I'll get the other stuff ready over here. And I don't know, it's all gonna fit in here. I'm gonna see if this fits sideways like this. It might. All right, looks like we are doing one at a time. This oven's smaller than my old one. If you have a larger oven, you can put them in side by side like this, but it doesn't fit all the way. So, interesting. The stovetop seems larger than my old oven, and the oven part seems small. It is smaller. Has more places to put racks this way, but anyway, that's interesting. Timer, 45 minutes. In the meantime, if you have not prepared your water yet, you want to prepare your water. If you're just getting out of the tap, you can wait. If you need to filter it or wait for a reverse osmosis like I do, then you need to start that process now because it's going to take a while. So we want just enough water to cover the bones. We don't need a huge amount unless you want a weak result. If you want nice dark bone broth with all the nutrition that you want in it, it needs to be just covering the bones. So that's why it's good to break apart the bones as well. So this is going to go in the Instant Pot. The other ones is going to go in the New Wave, which is larger, and we'll get that ready. All right, time to get this out. Your time's up. And let me show you what it looks like. There's our turkey. For comparison, here's the wishbone of a quail. All right, so this is quail and rabbit going in. I'm actually gonna probably make chili out of the broth that I get from that. Okay, so here is that turkey, and it is gonna be hot. It was just in there. I have my Instapot here with some water. I'm gonna use these because it's hot. And hopefully everything fits. Look at that crispy skin. We're also going to deglaze this, and I forgot to start water for that, so I will do that. Look how perfectly that fits in there. So all this goodness on the pan, the other one's going to have more because it had more bones and more stuff to it. All that goodness goes in with it, but I will show you how to deglaze once I get some hot water going. As you can see, the water does not cover this. I'm going to try and make that go down. See, like this could be ripped off or cut off. And again, you're going to get a richer broth the least water you have. Let's see. Okay, I can touch that. So, going to try to cut this as flat as possible. And it looks like the breastbone needs to be detached. Should be able to come apart. All right. So, it's looking a little better. I'll go a little further. There we go. And And that flattened out nicely. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water to this so that it covers the bones. Oops, half of that came out. All right, that should be good enough. These bones are floating, so that should be good enough. All right, one last thing. We're gonna add a glug of apple cider vinegar to help the minerals come out. That's a glug. Over to here. Turn this little deal to seal. And I do for 3 hours. I know with this other one, I have to set it for 2 and then do a third. But haven't made bone broth in this one yet. So let's start with poultry and go up. Let's see how far it lets us go. So all of my timing for pressure cooking is pretty much based on the New Wave, which is a 13-quart one, and unfortunately they don't make it anymore. I got it with my credit card points years ago. Oh, I forgot to deglaze. I'll put that in here. All right, so deglazing a pan is basically getting all the yummy, flavorful bits off of the pan. Usually I have a tea kettle that I use. It's not unpacked yet. You guys are gonna be so shocked when I actually say, hey guys, everything's unpacked. All right, I have boiling water here and I'm going to pour it onto the pan. You wanna have a plastic or wooden utensil if you're using a metal pan, just so you don't scratch it, especially if there's non-stick on it. And we are going to basically be scraping it. So let me put you guys down here so you can see what we're doing. And you want to have it hot for 2 reasons. One, you're pouring it onto a hot pan, you don't want to warp that pan. And 2, it's easier to get it off. So you want to start with as little water as possible, because remember, we already have enough water. We're just after the flavor. If there's a recipe for a pot of something that you're making, or a pan of something you're making, asks you to glaze, this is the same way you do it there. Some people use tea, hot tea, some people use other hot beverages. Water works just fine. All right, looks like we're there. And then this, you can see, that's all that colorful stuff, that's all flavor, guys. We like flavor. So that's all gonna go in the pan, and then we'll start it how I had it before. So this is all done now, and what I'm going to do is, there you go. Let that steam go, and once the steam is done coming out, then we'll be able to open the top. Pressure cookers these days, the electric ones, you're not able to actually open the top until that pressure is released. And the old kind, well, you can still get them, I think, but the stovetop ones, you know, if you open them before it's ready, then it's not good. Current newer pressure cookers, especially electric ones, not especially, but the electric ones as well, are much safer than the old-fashioned ones that would like blow up and stuff. So we want to make sure all that pressure's out, and then open it up, and I'm going to actually use some silicone hot pads and pour it through a strainer. I used to use a colander for this, and I actually really like this. It's a mesh strainer, because I do have some smaller bones in there, such as the quail bones. If you wanted to make this super clear, you can put a flour sack towel over this and all the liquid will go through and it won't have any little bits, but I don't really care about that because I'm going to be using it usually for soups or chilies or something like that where other things are in it. And I know what's in there, so it's good. And my light went out. Oh well. Okay, so this should be able to be opened now, and on this unit, it's just as simple as turning it and opening it. Now, if the steam was still pressurized, I wouldn't be able to turn it. And always, this is going to be steam, a lot of steam. Face it away from you, let that drain out. And I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll pour it in here. So there is broth. That's what it looks like. Okay, so we have this over a bowl. You can do it over a bowl or a container or whatever you do. Just make sure it's not something that's going to melt because this is hot. Or you can wait until it's done cooling down. So see how this is a nice thick broth? That's what happens when you do just enough water to cover. So I am going to do a second batch of this. So I'll put the bones back in, add more apple cider vinegar, and put it through another 3 hours. And I actually can these two batches separately because I can use them for different things because they have different strengths. Now this turkey actually had quite a bit of meat on it, so that's all right. It makes for a better broth. Okay, so I actually was able to keep most of it in the pan. The same will not be true for the other one with the quail and rabbits, just because there's so much. So I want to immediately rinse this out because if I don't, it's just going to stick on there. So what I do is I turn it upside down and I rinse it in the sink. And I'm going to be putting, again, more water in and a little bit more apple cider vinegar and doing this batch again. And I'll show you the difference between the colors of the liquid. I've found that if you do it more than twice, it's not really worth it. This one has quite a bit of meat on it, so we might actually get more, but pretty much at that point, the bones are squishy. Anything that is of value to come out has likely already come out. And then the calcium left over you can use for your animals or for your garden or whatever. So we'll wait for this to cool down and then it will go in the refrigerator. When it goes in the refrigerator, that's when the fat will rise to the top, so you can skim it off. If you want to include it, you can put it straight from here into the jars to can it or into the freezer to freeze it. But having that much fat in there can be a little too much. And I haven't ever had it happen, but I have heard having too much fat in the top of the jar, which that's where it's going to be because fat floats, can hinder the sealing of the jars. So anyway, it is rather thick though. I wanted to pick it up for you guys so you can see. That's pretty thick. Like you can't see me through it. And yes, it's a blue bowl, but you can't see through it, and it's pretty thick, and that's going to be a really, really good bone broth. And you can use that for soups and stews, or even if you just cook rice or quinoa or beans, anything that you soak with water or cook with water, it works well. Or you can, drink it as a drink in the morning. A lot of people have bone broth like you would coffee or hot chocolate. I feel like I need to get into the habit of that and try and figure out what seasonings work for me. Again, I don't season my bone broths. I leave that up to what we're going to do with it. And also, like, it's kind of hard to season it ahead of time. I'm talking seasonings. I'm not talking about like you know, celery and stuff. But because you have this, if you're just doing a turkey, you know what you season the turkeys with, and it's going to have some of that flavor. If you're doing a mishmash of different things, it could have flavors from different things. So the end product may have a different flavor every time you do it. So I feel it's best if you season it after the fact. And so that's something that, yeah, I should be drinking bone broth. I should be having it more often. Everybody should. It's good for your bones, good for everything, good for your health, and I just haven't. So I'll work on that. I'll work on that. All right. So we're gonna let this other one go. I will come back when I strain it and show you the difference in thickness, I guess, in color, in what's in it, and then that will be good information for you to have. This broth is the second run for the turkey stock. It's a lot thinner, but still totally usable. And as you can see, the bones, here's a turkey bone, squish. So that's now ready for your animals, for your garden, for whatever you need, because it's not splintering, it's edible now for them. Still colorful, not nearly as thick as the other one. I'm gonna see if it fits in this. We're putting these in the refrigerator overnight to skim the fat off, so I'm trying to put it in as small container as I can. If you wanted to boil this down and make it thicker, you can. I don't really see a need to do that. Thank you for watching this video. This video is getting long, so I'm making a part 2. Part 1 was making the bone broth, and part 2 will be canning it. So if you are done with the process, you're going to freeze it. We can stop here. If you are planning on pressure canning this, you can do the next video, which will be coming out soon. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and like and subscribe, share it around, and be strong. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.